This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Got a car to sell but no time to waste? Hop on to Carvana.com to get a real offer for your car in seconds. All you have to do is enter your license plate, answer a few quick questions, and if you accept the offer, Carvana will pay you as soon as you hand the keys over. They even offer same-day pickup in many cities. Save your time, score some cash, and sell your car the convenient way to Carvana. Pickup times vary. Fees may apply.
Hey all, I'm Jamie Lynn Sigler, a mom, actor, and advocate. I know how overwhelming it can be trying to decide which treatment is right for you. I've been there. But you should know you're not alone. You can do this. Start with some research, talk to the community, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask your doctor questions. You might find results that speak for themselves. That's how I landed on Kesimpta. Ask your doctor if Kesimpta, ofatumumab, could be right for you. You can check out the details at kesimpta.com.
Thanks for listening to the Red Treehouse, where I tell scary stories to keep you up at night. You can listen to the Red Treehouse on your favorite streaming platforms. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Oh, and leave a 5-star review. And now, you can find the Red Treehouse on Patreon. Join the Red Treehouse community for as little as $3 per month and receive exclusive member benefits. Simply go to patreon.com/Red Treehouse. Important note: sources for this episode can be found in the show notes. The Red Treehouse is dedicated to my dad. I love you, Pop. If you're a fan of horror movies like me, you've probably seen more than a handful of possession and exorcism films. They all generally follow the same formula, especially when it comes to those trying to help. There are usually two sides: the spiritual community that believes the afflicted is possessed by an evil spirit who wants nothing less than to prove their power by destroying them. And on the other side, you have the scientific community who is convinced the individual is suffering from a significant mental or emotional disturbance, and that to claim demonic possession is more dangerous than helpful. Even in the best movies, these communities rarely, if ever, work together. And in every possession exorcism movie I've ever seen, the demon is ultimately cast out by a priest or spiritual team, using faith as the ultimate weapon. It all seems pretty run-of-the-mill. Except today's story is different. Very different. It involves a woman named Julia, who claimed to be possessed by a demon, and who sought help, not so much from a priest, but from a psychiatrist, Dr. Richard Gallagher. On the surface, this may not sound all that interesting, but here's the thing. Dr. Richard Gallagher is an Ivy League trained psychiatrist who is also a member of the International Association of Exorcists. You heard that right. Where the spiritual and scientific communities are often at odds with one another, much of Richard Gallagher's work has been to integrate them, if at all possible. A quick content warning. This episode is dark and includes discussion about sexual assault and abuse. Listener discretion is advised. In this episode of The Red Treehouse, we're going to explore the dark and eerie possession and exorcism of Julia. Who was she, and what happened to her? And is this account of possession and exorcism credible? I'll share the story. You decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Welcome to the Red Treehouse. It's important to note up front that most of this account comes from a single source, Demonic Foes, written by Richard Gallagher, and published in October 2019. It's also important to note that this account uses pseudonyms and does not include specific dates, times, or locations to protect everyone involved. One night, sometime in the 1980s, Dr. Richard Gallagher and his wife were awakened from a deep sleep by the sound of their cats fighting. This was unusual, because the cats normally got along well. But for some reason, that night at 3 a.m., the two were hell-bent on tearing each other apart. Thinking they may have had too much catnip or bad food, Dr. Gallagher and his wife separated the cats and placed them in different rooms. Yet, they continued to hiss and growl at each other through the door. Later that morning, Dr. Gallagher heard the doorbell ring, and when he opened, Father Jacques was standing there with a woman. She was dressed in black pants, a dark purple top, had short jet black dyed hair, and black eyeliner that went to her temples. He guessed she was somewhere in her 30s or 40s. Father Jacques introduced the woman as Julia, and she smirked as she looked at Dr. Gallagher and asked, "How'd you like those cats last night?" The statement stung Dr. Gallagher, because there's no way she could have known about the strange occurrence the night before. She smiled as he looked at her, but didn't say anything else. Almost immediately, Dr. Gallagher felt like he was in over his head, and he called Father Jacques to let him know, asking, "What on earth were you thinking? Bringing her here?" Father Jacques was apologetic and told him that Julia had arrived a bit earlier than expected, and that he wanted to get Dr. Gallagher's opinion on her situation as quickly as possible, as he felt her desire to get help would be short-lived. He said something else. It wasn't the first time Julia had made a family's cat go wild. According to Father Jacques, another psychiatrist had experienced something similar. The family cat tore up their furniture, resulting in the man's wife forbidding him from working with Julia. Then, Father Jacques shared a startling piece of information. Julia was part of a satanic cult, and more than that, she was the cult's high priestess, who had been given unique abilities. And though Julia wanted their help, at least for now, the cult had threatened Father Jacques directly, lending credibility to Julia's claims of demonic possession. And that's not all. This story gets darker and darker. Father Jacques explained that Julia had, quote, committed herself to Satan, end quote, worshipped him directly, and was granted her powers by Satan himself. Something interesting. Perhaps because of horror movies, we've grown accustomed to a demonic entity manifesting most explicitly during a trance or the exorcism ritual itself. But there are times when the demon may reveal itself during quote-unquote normal times. These revelations may include speaking in a foreign language unknown to the possessed person, displays of superhuman strength, revealing knowledge of matters the possessed person has no way of knowing, and telekinesis. Of course, the question is, were these the powers Julia was granted? Soon enough, Dr. Gallagher would know the answer. Julia's first meeting in Dr. Gallagher's office started strangely. She walked in without saying a word, and immediately began watering the plants on the windowsill. While doing so, she cracked a joke, saying, quote, "I'm into the life of plants. We love plants and animals. Well, maybe not all animals, I suppose. But we're unlike stupid Christians who hate nature. Have you noticed?" End quote. This turned out to be part of the foundation of Julia's religious practice, a desire to connect with nature, which she felt was in direct contradiction to organized religion. Julia's meetings with Dr. Gallagher were marked by mutual respect, and it seemed as though she trusted him. This was especially evident when she stated, quote, "I know I'm possessed," end quote. She explained falling into trances and then having no memory of them at all. She said that others have told her a strange voice comes out of her, though she doesn't know what they're talking about. She was convinced she was possessed, and that the demon was under Satan's control. She said she's been worshiping and following Satan for several years.
United Healthcare nurse Crystal checked in on a patient.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell in her voice that she was struggling.
Crystal knew she needed help.
And I knew that this is very serious. This is like septic. This is life-threatening.
And she knew just what to do.
And I called the hospital and said, she's coming in, here are her labs.
And got her the help she needed.
I see my role at United Healthcare as a life-saving role.
Hear more stories like Crystal's at uhc.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Hey all, I'm Jamie Lynn Sigler, a mom, actor, and advocate. I know how overwhelming it can be trying to decide which treatment is right for you. I've been there. But you should know you're not alone. You can do this. Start with some research, talk to the community, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask your doctor questions. You might find results that speak for themselves. That's how I landed on Kesimpta. Ask your doctor if Kesimpta, ofatumumab, could be right for you. You can check out the details at kesimpta.com.
Dr. Gallagher, stunned by Julia's matter-of-fact confession, sought to gain some insight into how she became possessed, except Julia did not have a true answer. Instead, she chalked it up to some mysterious reason that only Satan knew. She claimed that she didn't enjoy being possessed, while also acknowledging a sort of resignation to it. She said her cult would not want her to seek help, but that she didn't want to be possessed anymore. Committed to listening with little interruption, Dr. Gallagher gleaned more information from Julia. She told him that Father Jacques had taken her to see several other psychiatrists, but each was stumped as to what was causing her strange affliction. Searching for more help, Father Jacques scheduled a phone call with a priest, who was also a psychiatrist. Julia expressed her disdain for the man, as he, quote, was giving me some dim-witted opinion even though he never met me and didn't know all the facts. Him and his stupid, heavy red curtains, end quote. The last statement piqued Dr. Gallagher's curiosity, and he asked how she knew about the red curtains, especially considering she never met the priest in person. Julia, now excited, told Dr. Gallagher that she had unique powers, including remote viewing. According to one article, remote viewing is, quote, a mental faculty that allows a perceiver, a viewer, to describe or give details about a target that is inaccessible to normal senses due to distance, time, or shielding. For example, a viewer might be asked to describe a location on the other side of the world, which he or she has never visited, or a viewer might describe an event that happened long ago, or describe an object sealed in a container or locked in a room, or perhaps even describe a person or an activity, all without being told anything about the target, not even its name or designation, end quote. In essence, Julia claimed knowledge about the priest's red curtains, not because she saw them in person, but because she perceived them through remote viewing. Growing more convinced of Julia's story, Dr. Gallagher established a few expectations and boundaries with Julia, namely that she was free to visit with him as she desired, so long as she did not, quote, mess with me or my family, end quote. Dr. Gallagher was not acting as Julia's psychiatrist, only as an unpaid consultant to Father Jacques, so he reassured her that he would not push medication or treatment, and that if she wanted to try those routes, he would refer her to someone else. She agreed, though made it clear that she didn't need that type of help. Then, she asked a question. Can people really recover from this sort of thing? Dr. Gallagher reassured her that it was possible, but that it took hard work. After their meeting, Dr. Gallagher debriefed with Father Jacques, who stated his belief that Julia became possessed because of her participation in the satanic cult, and his suspicion that she made some sort of deeper pact with Satan. He told Dr. Gallagher that Julia had undergone several unsuccessful exorcisms to that point, but that he was hopeful for her deliverance. Except Julia had not broken ties with the cult, which complicated matters significantly. Father Jacques confirmed that Julia had in fact met with at least 2 psychiatrists before Dr. Gallagher, and explained they believed she had a personality disorder of some kind, though they could not explain, quote, the paranormal features that seemed to follow Julia, end quote. Sometime after their first visit, Dr. Gallagher was riding with Father Jacques and Julia in Father Jacques' vehicle. The 2 men were in the front seat, and Julia was in the back. They were allegedly searching for a location for the next exorcism. I say allegedly because Father Jacques simply wanted Dr. Gallagher to meet with Julia in a more comfortable, casual setting. Father Jacques, speaking to Dr. Gallagher, stated that he was going to be the supporting priest and that they would meet the lead exorcist sometime later on that day. Julia, from the back seat, spoke up. Except the voice wasn't hers. She told Father Jacques, "Leave her alone, you fucking monkey priest. She is ours. We will never let her go. You'll be sorry, you stupid monkey priest." End quote. Dr. Gallagher turned to look at Julia, whose eyes were distant and staring blankly. Her fists were clenched. She continued speaking for nearly 10 minutes before suddenly stopping, and when Dr. Gallagher looked at her again, she was seemingly back to normal. And she claimed to have no recollection of anything that had just happened.
It's Wednesday, Adams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday Season 2 is now playing, only on Netflix.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
It's back to school season and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
During the next visit, Dr. Gallagher explored Julia's involvement with the satanic cult, and she confirmed being the priestess of the group, stating, quote, "I'm their queen, Satan's queen. I trust him alone," end quote. She claimed to enjoy the benefits of being a Satanist, stating, quote, "He looks after us and grants us big favors," end quote. Julia claimed to have psychic abilities and told Dr. Gallagher how his own mother had passed away from ovarian cancer, a fact she could not have known. After the meeting, Dr. Gallagher called Father Jacques to plan for Julia's next exorcism. While they were talking, a voice cut into their conversation, quote, hissing, "We said leave her alone, you fucking priest. She belongs to us, not you. You'll be sorry," end quote. The voice was the same one they'd heard coming from Julia while they were driving around. Dr. Gallagher, shaken by what he'd heard, asked Father Jacques if he heard the voice as well, to which Father Jacques said this had happened several times before. During his next meeting with Julia, Dr. Gallagher asked why she was ambivalent towards the exorcism while also seeking help. She told him that she was scared and needed help. Then she told him about her upbringing. She was baptized as a Roman Catholic and attended Catholic schools despite not caring for religion. Her home life was tough, though she didn't offer many details beyond that. Then, she dropped a tragic bombshell. When she was a teenager, a local priest took an interest in her and eventually sexually assaulted her. Julia stated this drove her away from the church and organized religion altogether, and that it contributed to her connecting with the satanic cult she was now a part of. Dr. Gallagher listened intently, but knew that while Julia was sharing these details, there were parts she was keeping to herself. He let her continue, and Julia told him that she fell in love with the cult's leader, a man named Daniel. She felt he was a quote-unquote bad boy type, and that she was attracted to him because he seemed a little dangerous. She wanted companionship and connection, but also was searching for pleasure. Over time, the cult made her its queen, and she called herself Queen Lilith. She offered another piece of important information. The cult worshipped Asmodeus, a demon of lust. According to Julia, many of the cult members called her, quote, the queen of voluptuous delights, end quote. And it was obvious that sex was a significant part of the group's activities. As important, sex was part of what she called black masses. She did not provide specific details about these rituals, but explained that Daniel was the most powerful member of the group, and that his unique powers were stronger than her own. Eventually, their romance died down after Julia told him she couldn't get pregnant anymore. The last statement piqued Dr. Gallagher's interest. Julia claimed she was, quote, the cult's main breeder. I could get pregnant easily, which gave me a special status in the group, end quote. She then claimed to get pregnant, have an abortion, and use the aborted fetuses for the group's rituals. She claimed Daniel supported and encouraged this. But once she could no longer get pregnant, Daniel lost interest. Dr. Gallagher, for his part, was now fully convinced Julia needed an exorcism, even if he wasn't certain about the truthfulness of her claims. Eventually, Dr. Gallagher met the lead exorcist, Father A, who was experienced and well regarded by everyone except Daniel, the cult's leader. One day, Julia claimed she could see Father A via remote viewing. Dr. Gallagher pressed her for more information, and she said he was wearing a blue windbreaker and khakis and walking along the seashore near his home. Dr. Gallagher called Father A, who told him he was taking a walk and was wearing a windbreaker and khaki pants. When asked the color of his windbreaker, Father A said, quote, "You must be talking to Julia," end quote. Dr. Gallagher met with Julia a few more times before the exorcism ritual, though he was ambivalent about her redemption as she agreed to the exorcism while also refusing to break with the cult. One day, Father A recounted a scary experience while he and Father Jacques gave Julia a ride home. The three were riding in Father Jacques' car when they noticed Julia slip into a trance. Though strange, it was accompanied by the typical phenomena: strange voices, boasts and taunts by the demon towards the priest, etc. Then Father A claimed, quote, "The spirits appeared," end quote, and claimed several dark spirits manifested in front of the windshield, causing the priest to drive into a ditch. Thankfully, everyone was unhurt, but they were shaken up and stuck on a back road with no sign of help. 2 weeks later, Dr. Gallagher received a call from Father A. Julia's exorcism had been completed within that time frame, and he stated that he worried Julia would not agree to another exorcism. Then, he explained what happened.
This is an ad.
I hate it!
An ad for crisp, refreshing Angry Orchard hard cider.
That is refreshing.
An ad that interrupted your podcast.
I hate being interrupted!
To remind you to stop being angry at me and crack open an Angry Orchard.
That's a good idea.
Don't get angry! Get Orchard. Angry Orchard Cider Company, LLC. AngryOrchard.com. Please drink responsibly. Angry Orchard is a hard cider with other natural flavors.
The exorcism was performed by Father A and Father Jacques, along with a team of 2 nuns, a woman, and 3 strong men. They gathered in a chapel where Father Jacques lived, and Julia arrived sometime after, though she was 30 minutes late. Father Jacques opened the ritual with formal prayers in Latin from the Roman ritual. Soon after, Julia fell into a trance, with a demonic voice berating the team for trying to liberate Julia from Satan's grasp. The demon claimed Julia had entered into her pact freely, and stated, "We won't ever leave. Stop. Go." The ritual lasted for 2 hours, with the demon spewing threats and blasphemy. It taunted Father A and called the nuns derogatory names as they, and the third woman, placed their hands on Julia's shoulders and arms. According to Father A, Julia exhibited supernatural strength as she fought against the restraints for the duration of the ritual. And then, almost without warning, Julia levitated out of her chair and remained in the air for 30 minutes. Every person in the room substantiated Father A's claim. Julia, restrained in the chair, rose a foot off the ground and may have risen higher if the men had not forcefully kept her in place. Father A eventually grew tired as the ritual wore on, yet the demons seemingly grew stronger. They stated over and over that Julia had invited them in, and so the priests had no right to expel them. Father A's efforts were considerable. He used holy water, causing the demons to writhe in pain. He recited prayers, and they in turn expressed it in articulate Latin. The demons caused the temperature in the room to fluctuate between freezing and hot, and they interrupted the prayers with loud cries, shrieks, and animal-like noises. Then, the ritual ended, and Julia returned from her trance. She claimed to have no memory of the event. Julia never participated in another exorcism, and it is likely she was never delivered from the demons. Dr. Gallagher speculated that Julia simply wasn't fully committed to her redemption, and that while she wanted to get help, she could never fully break free from the cult or its leader, Daniel. A few months after the exorcism, Dr. Gallagher and Father Jacques visited Julia at her home, but she was ambivalent to continuing the exorcism ritual. The two left, and a year after the exorcism, Dr. Gallagher spoke with Julia on the phone, and she told him she had recently been diagnosed with terminal cancer and that she wanted to be freed from the demons before she died. And that's where Julia's story ended. Dr. Gallagher remains unsure about Julia's fate, though he suspects she passed away sometime after their last phone call. The alleged demonic possession and exorcism of Julia is both harrowing and tragic. The details of the case are legitimately frightening, but it's also sad because Julia seemed caught in a tug of war. On the one hand, she wanted help and to be freed from the demonic influence, but on the other, she was ambivalent towards turning away from the cult. I can't help but wonder why. I won't speculate too deeply, but is it possible that Julia desired love and connection to such an extent that she was willing to make a literal deal with the devil to get it? Is it possible that Julia's trauma as a teenager contributed to her decision to join the satanic cult? Or is it possible that Julia genuinely enjoyed her status in the cult and found the cost of renouncing it too heavy to bear? Maybe yes to all of them. Of course, there's still the question of whether or not this story is actually true. Let me say up front, we have no reason to believe Dr. Gallagher is lying. By all accounts, his reputation precedes him. But there is still the somewhat uncomfortable reality that the account of Julia's possession and exorcism is based solely on his own reporting, some of which he didn't witness personally. The details are unknown. We don't know when this happened, where it happened, and really who it happened to. We just know it happened sometime in the 1980s to a woman who he referred to as Julia. And that first bit is interesting context, because in the 1980s, the country was in the thick of the Satanic Panic. I won't hash out the details of the Satanic Panic here, but I would encourage you to listen to Red Treehouse episodes 57 and 60. Remember though, it was a time in history when a paranoia about Satanism gripped the nation, and included allegations of black masses involving child sacrifice, pedophile rings in daycares, and the constant fear that playing certain games or listening to certain music would invite the devil into your home, or even worse, into your body. For me, I believe Dr. Gallagher's account of what Julia shared with him. I'm not sure I believe all of what Julia shared with Dr. Gallagher. And here's the thing, that little sliver of uncertainty leaves the door wide open for both skepticism and belief. As we close this episode of the Red Treehouse, we're left with this lingering question. Was Julia truly possessed by a multitude of demons? Or were her afflictions something more natural? I've shared the story. Now you decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Thanks for joining me in the Red Treehouse.